Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren and welcome to Plants and Teens. Today's video we are going to be talking about fertilizer made easy, because if you've seen any of my previous videos, I like things to be simple. I want it to be effective, but I also want it to be simple. So if you're new here, thank you for clicking on this video. I hope it's going to be helpful for you. If you find it helpful, please leave a comment or a like or a follow, a subscribe, whatever you like to do. Please consider joining the Planty fam. So there is a world of fertilizers. I remember when I first was starting in houseplants and like learning that I need to fertilize plants and just going to Home Depot and looking at all the different fertilizers, and it's mind-blowing. The multiple shelves of fertilizers can be overwhelming. It's a lot. So to keep it simple, I'm going to just explain the larger umbrellas or types of fertilizers, and then I'm just going to jump into what I have found to be easy and simple and effective. The first main umbrella is going to be organic versus inorganic. Inorganic, as it suggests, being synthetic, made in a lab, it was created. Organic meaning created coming from the earth's goodness. So that's the two main umbrellas. Your inorganic fertilizers tend to be a little stronger, not always, but they tend to be. And the organic fertilizers tend to be a little more gentle, less likely to burn the roots or less likely to over fertilize. Whereas the inorganic ones that are a bit stronger, there's a higher risk of burning the roots or over fertilizing your plants. The next level of categories of fertilizers is the form, whether it comes in a liquid or a solid. Solid being like the little pellets, the little green balls that you sometimes see in different plant soils, or the sticks that you can stick in the plant, or even like a powder form. So there's different like methods of delivery for fertilizers as well. And then bringing it down even more specific, there are fertilizers for certain types of plants. You'll see the orchid fertilizers or the bulb tone for bulb plants or cactus. Like there's all types. There can be types of fertilizers for each type of plant. But like I said, all of that can be a little overwhelming. So when you're trying to figure out what type of fertilizer you want to use, you want to think about what is your watering habits or your watering schedule, or what is your plant collection like, because that's going to really have an effect on which type of fertilizer is going to be best or most effective for you to do regularly, because that's important as well to do it regularly. So I'm going to first talk about the inorganic types of fertilizers, and specifically, of course, I'll talk about the ones that I have used. There are the little balls, as I mentioned, that usually come in your plants that you buy from stores, or you can purchase them and mix them in your soil, and it's a set it and forget it thing. You don't have to worry about it. It's there, and most likely, I believe it usually lasts several months. I'll find out specifically and put it on the screen exactly how long they usually last, and usually you don't really have to replace it until you're ready to repot the plant. So that's also super easy. And then there's the sticks, which I don't prefer because I don't really want something just be sitting in the soil. Like you can't really control the dissemination. Is that the word? You can't control how it disseminates through the soil when you just have a stick in there. It may not disseminate. Is that the word? I hope that's the word. It may not spread evenly, is all I'm trying to say. And then the inorganic fertilizer that I have experience using is this one here, which you may have seen in my previous videos, the Plant Food by Miracle-Gro. When I first started, I was using this, and I was trying to use something that was not going to be super strong because I didn't want to take the chance of over fertilizing because I was new. And so when you're trying to see the different what am I trying to say? The different strengths. Why is that word so hard to say today? The different strengths of fertilizer, when you're looking at them, you'll see these three digit like code, and it stands for NPK, or nitrogen, potassium, and nitrogen. I'll put it on the screen. Nitrogen, potassium. What's the other one? NPK. No, potassium is K. Phosphorus. That's what it is. They stand for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. The amount of how much those elements are dispersed through the nutrients of the fertilizer. That's what I'm trying to say. And I was at work all day. I'm having a long day. It's nighttime. Bear with me. So for example, Miracle Grow, their NPK value is 12.48. So that's about middle to high ground. You'll see a lot of fertilizers that are 111 or 333. So this is a pretty decent strength fertilizer. It's not gentle, so you do want to be careful with it and follow the directions. It's not hard to use, but you want to follow the directions. So in my experience with using Miracle Grow, I did find it worked well, and the only thing I don't like about using a inorganic fertilizer is that you do want to be conscious of how often you're using it. It's not something that you can use every watering unless you're like double, triple diluting it. And for me, I just can't keep with, I cannot remember if last time I fertilized it and this time I didn't. I'm not going to remember that. So that's the only reason I don't use inorganic fertilizers. Not because it's not effective or anything like that. It just doesn't work with my routine. So if you're someone that has a smaller collection, or you have generally similar types of plants that you can water all your plants around the same time, that may be effective for you. Or if your brain is just holds more capacity than mine and you can remember, go for it. It works well. It's not a problem at all. You just have to keep in mind that you cannot use it every single time you water. Usually it's depending on the plant, the season, once a month, twice a month, you have to take that into consideration. And when you purchase the fertilizer you choose to purchase, normally will kind of give you an idea of how often, but in your research of the plants that you have, that's the time to figure out, okay, how often does this type of plant need to be fertilized? And like I said, that's why you really want to keep in mind your collection and your plants when you're choosing your fertilizer. And the last type of inorganic fertilizer I'll talk a little more on is those pellets that I was talking about earlier. The only reason I don't use those is because, like I said, it's a set it and forget it thing, which is good, but I like to feel like I'm doing something, and I just don't feel like I'm active in the care of my plants if I just set it and forget it. So there's some certain things, I just want to feel like I'm mixing it up and doing something, and it's just no fun. It's no fun to me, the little pellets. Not that they're not effective. They obviously are. They're used worldwide by nurseries, plant sellers. So they're effective, but I just like to feel like I'm doing something. So now let's get into the organic fertilizers. And the one that I use, which I've mentioned before, is organic, but there's another one that I may have not mentioned before that I also use at certain times. So I'll just kind of get into it and explain them both. The first is going to be Liquider. I don't have a packet or container, but I did mention and explain it a little bit in my video, my alocation care video. I can link it up in the cards if you haven't seen it. There I talk about it a little bit more, but the reason that I like this one is because I can use it every single watering. There's no thought necessary. It's just there in my water. I don't have to worry about it. That's solely the reason, and because it works, obviously, but that's like the main factor as to why I chose to use Liquider. And like I mentioned in the beginning about the size of your collection of plants, when I was first starting, I only had maybe 5 or 6 plants. So it was nothing for me to remember that last week, I probably didn't fertilize them. It was easier, for me to keep that in my head about when I didn't fertilize it. But now, as I have more and more plants, I just can't keep up. That's not something that I'm going to be able to keep up with, especially when you start to have a wide variety of plants that have different watering schedules. Fertilizing them at the right time, if you have like that inorganic type of fertilizer, it's going to make a difference. So for me, to keep it simple across the board, because I like it simple, is just to use an inorganic gentle fertilizer. So I will get into a little bit more about Liquider. I'm not really going to demo how to mix it up. There's a lot of videos on YouTube about how to mix up the Liquider, and because I don't have the packet anyways, so I'm just going to do a general explanation of how it works and why I like it. So what I do They do recommend to use filtered or distilled water. I don't use distilled water. I just got this Brita filter from Goodwill for $3.99. And again, if you've seen my previous video, my plant shop with me, I'll link it up in the cards. You'll see that I got this there. And it came with 3 filters. It came with 2 packaged filters and a brand new filter inside. So that's what I've been doing. I've just been keeping this full. It's empty right now because I used it, but I usually keep this full and just use this to mix up my liquid earth mix. So once I have my filtered water, then I make my liquid earth concentrate. So your concentrate is equal to something like this bottle, which is a concentrate that you would then dilute to water. So you have to make your concentrate and then make your fertilized water. So I just keep a full gallon of it. I've been using it, obviously, but that's why it's so dark, because this is the concentrate. Once I have that mixed up, I just take a cup of that and add it to a gallon of water, and it looks like this here. You see it's a little bit lighter because this is diluted with a gallon of water. And I just kind of label it, you know, liquid earth water, so that I know it's pretty obvious this is lighter, that is the water and not the concentrate, but that's what I do. So I usually keep like 2 of these ready, stocked and ready, because I don't want to be mixing it up when I need it, you know. So I just keep it ready. But what I did add to my little routine, which I really love, is this here. Wait, it's heavy. This bad boy. I love this thing, especially because I have more and more plants, so I can just literally just spray, fill, spray. Love this thing. And so I just take those jugs that I made, put them in here, and keep these as a backup. And this will last me probably like a couple weeks before I have to re-up, you know. And of course, based on your collection is how long a jug of this will last you. This is from Amazon. You know, I'll link it in the description below. But yeah, I love that thing. And I got that idea from this plant YouTuber, Hakuna La Planta. He's so funny. He was using that, and I was like, you know what, that is smart. It's so easy, especially if you have your plants around your house. I like to just walk around, spray them, walk around. It's just easy. I love it. Love that thing. Would highly recommend. So that's what I do with liquid earth. The other type of organic fertilizer that I use is worm castings, and that's in a solid form, like a solid, it looks like soil, it looks like dirt, but it's very fine. And I just keep mine stored in this container. I almost opened it. And this is what it looks like. And basically, if you don't know, worm castings is worm poop. Okay, it's a whole lot of worm poop in here, but it doesn't have a smell. Thank goodness. I was worried about that. It does not have a smell at all. And I just got a bag of this from, I think I got it from Amazon. I'll find out and I'll put it, yeah, I think it's from Amazon. I'll find out and put it in the description. And I just store it in here. So this I just mix in with my soil. You can only use that. I wouldn't, because again, I like to feel active in my plant parenthood, but you can just use that, and it is super gentle. But I don't know, I really wouldn't recommend to only use worm castings. I really wouldn't, to be honest. But I do, as a backup, put it in, mix it in the soil. And another way that I've used it was with bulbs. So you'll see in my, I don't know if I'm gonna put it out before this one or after, but my Facebook plant haul video, I got some bulbs. And when I was researching how to plant the bulbs, because I never did it before, this one person recommended Bulb Tone, which is a plant type specific fertilizer. But I forgot to get it, I didn't have any. And I just used the worm castings. I just used that in the soil, like you put it, I don't know why I'm explaining it to you now, this is not the video about that, but I'm just saying that I used that for that. And you can use it, you know, you can mix it in your soil mix any type of way. So I do like the worm castings for that. So that's pretty much all I do for fertilizer. Like I said, I like to keep it simple. If it's a hydroponic situation, then the water I use for the reservoir, I do not dilute that in my water reservoir, that is the water reservoir that I'll use, the liquid dirt water. Or if I'm just watering the plant, then it just gets watered with that plant. I like that it's a no-brainer, easy to set up and just keep it moving type of situation. So I highly recommend it, of course. Now, I say all that to say that doesn't mean that I'm not interested in trying out other things. You know, well, you might not know, but I'm about to tell you, when this runs out, I'm going to try something else. I definitely want to try the general hydroponics. I want to try Dynagrow, and I really want to do an experiment. So I kind of mentioned it in a previous video, but definitely as spring comes around, we get a little warm, the plants start waking up a little more, and they start, you know, activating a little more. I want to do an experiment with different fertilizers. So I want to try them all. I want to see which one really is the best, you know, and there might not be a straight answer, but I'm okay with that. I just want to experiment and see for fun. So that's what I would like to do. And the other last thing that I forgot to mention about inorganic versus organic, when you use inorganic or something like liquid dirt, you don't have to worry about it being growing season or spring versus, you know, winter, summer versus winter, whether or not you should fertilize your plant, because it's gentle, it's mild, it can be used every watering all year round as long as your plant is growing. And honestly, even if my plant hasn't pushed out any new growth because it's winter, I still use the same water and I haven't had any issues. So I don't know if that's like against the rules, but I still use it and I really haven't had any issues. So yeah, that's it. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments below what fertilizers you guys are using, because like I said, I would love to try something new. I do love liquid dirt. It does work well for me, but I'm always interested in trying something new. So feel free to drop in the comments what you guys use, what you like, what you feel works well for you, and then other people as well will like to, I'm sure they would like to know too. So thank you for watching. If you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing, or if you like the video, and have a good night.